There we go. Alright, so there's your lecture. The first modern day Olympics takes place in Athens, Greece in 1896. There are four errors within the sentence. I'll give you about 2-3 minutes, see if you can find them. Unless you got the questions off me that you're right or not. Okay, who has the correction? Austin?
Shouldn't there be a hyphen between modern and day?
Absolutely, there's a hyphen between modern and day. Yes. We don't say take, that's took. Callie.
There's a comma after Athens.
Comma after Athens. What's the last one? Callie.
Comma after Greece.
Yep. There's your correction. The first modern day Olympic Games took place in Athens, Greece in 1896. So that was the mug shot for today. Before we move into your PSSA packet, we have a few little practice questions. To try out. So we're going to do a couple different ones from this morning that I've asked 3 times today. Read the sentence from a story. The gallery had just opened and already several people crowded around Mark's painting. It was obvious to Mark that they had questions about the painting. He cleared his throat and stepped forward to speak. Let me begin by saying that, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I was inspired by a poem I had to read a couple years before. Which revision of sentence 4 correctly uses punctuation to indicate the break caused by the underlined group of words? So take a look at the answers. Alright, who says A? Who says B? I think I have one hand up. Who says C? Who says D? Okay, so I have a total of 12 answers, and there are more than 12 of you here. Roman, did you say D?
Yep.
Okay, so there's 2. Who did not answer? 3, 5, 10. There's 16 of you, so we have 13, so 3 of you didn't answer. So we're gonna try this one more time. Who says A? Who says B? You change your answer this time? Wait, well, okay, let me put the eraser down. 1B. C.
Wait, no, not C.
D. 3, 4, 5, 10. That's closer. How many here?
16.
That's 15. It is actually D.
So I was right that whole time.
B is the correct answer since the dash is used correctly to indicate a break before and after the phrase. And if you have questions, please don't ask to hesitate. A dash is used to set off an interruption in a sentence. Option A is not correct since single quotes are not used to indicate a break. Option C is not correct since ellipses are used as a pause or hesitation to indicate an omission, not an interruption. D is not correct since the comma used before the interruption should be a dash. So because this is completely interrupting the rest of the sentence, you use the dashes. This is an ellipses right here. Typically, those are used in books to show passages of time, whether it's a couple hours or a day or two. This isn't correct because if you put a comma here, it would drop that out. Let me begin by saying that I was inspired by a poem, but this interrupts, and you can't have one and then the other. It doesn't make sense. So now we have read the paragraph. Bicycle is a popular form of transportation for many people, are easy to use. They are, in my opinion, good for traveling short distances. It is important to make sure the bicycle has enough air in the tires before riding it. Without a doubt, no one likes changing a flat tire. Which revision should be made to the paragraph? Okay, who says A? Who says B? I think we have 9. Who says 3? Or C? Who says D? Okay, there's 16 of you, and I think I had 9 people answer, so let's try that again. A, remove the comma after people in sentence 1. So right here, this comma, remove it. Who says A? Add a comma after R in sentence 1, right here. Who says B? Oh, in sentence 2, not in sentence 1. Here.
I
actually 2. Dane, you're saying A?
I think A also.
B, okay, B, hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Who says C? Who says D? Apparently I must have missed someone somewhere. It is B. Since, in my opinion, it's a non-restrictive element, a comma should be added after R to set off this phrase. A is not correct since the comma is needed for the non-restrictive element. C is not correct since the statement does not need a comma after sure. And D is not correct since the comma after doubt is needed with the introductory phrase. So this is introducing it, and it could actually, it could actually just be removed. So no one like changing a flat tire as a sentence on its own. It is important to make sure you wouldn't put a comma there just because it would look weird and it wouldn't make sense. And then in sentence 1, bicycle is a popular form of transportation for many people. This right here that's surrounded by commas, if you take and you just read bicycles are easy to use, do you really need the rest of those words? Yes, no? Yeah, you don't need a popular form of transportation for many people. It's a sentence by itself without that information there. So that's why we're not removing that comma. So those were the PSSA questions for today. So now, if you put away your Chromebooks and get out your packet, yesterday we did the intersection. I'm gonna grab that really quick too. Alright, so we have our intersection, which may or may not be the same. I don't think it'll be exactly identical between everybody's, because I don't think that we're all gonna have the same theme, which is right here. Never pass up the opportunity to learn something new. So in the story, this is Cochrane's invention. The author uses two characters to show their relationship and what they learn from each other. The author uses character and the theme never pass up the opportunity to learn something new to help to build the thought throughout the story. In the story, Ruby and his Cochrane through this theme. So that there is our introduction. So next we're going to have our first body paragraph. What is going to be included in that body paragraph? What do we need in it? Kelly?
Well, if you're doing like people, then you could do like Ruby first and what she's like at the beginning of the story and like quotes and stuff.
So she said you could do, if you're doing the people, you could do Ruby, just as Ruby, and to have quotes. But I'm looking for one specific word. Begins with begins with the letter E. Austin?
You need to have your quotes and examples.
Quotes and examples are evidence. This is where the evidence comes into it that you pulled from the text and is somewhere on your planning page or an extra sheet of paper. This packet didn't have a planning page in it. Oh, there it is. So it'd be on here. That's where these quotes are going to go in. But how would we start the second paragraph? Austin?
In the story, your quote in your own words, and then or not, in the story, in the beginning of the story, if you did beginning, middle, end, and then kind of say what was in your quote, start is
You're not going right to the quote.
or theme, I'm a theme. Like chapter.
Yeah. In the beginning of a story, Macy?
You could say, in the beginning of the story, Ruby and, Mrs. Cochran helps to support the theme, and then you state your theme, and then you put, like, then you would, like, put your quote in it, like.
Okay, so that's really good. So in the beginning of the story, Ruby. Ruby and Mrs. Cochran developed the theme.
Well,
Was it
start
about
to develop the theme.
start to develop the theme?
Is this if you're doing, like the plot, or is this for the characters?
What was that, Callie?
Is it for if you're doing like the development of the plot, or if you're doing like the characters?
So this is, they're using beginning, middle, and end. If you were using the characters, you wouldn't necessarily have to be in the beginning of the story. You could say, in the story, Ruby and Mrs. Cochran start to develop the theme, just get rid of the beginning. Or Ruby, and just like, pull one of them out. Okay, and then Macy says we have this sentence. Then we're gonna put our quote. So, one thing that you can think of when you're doing body paragraphs is the acronym RACE, which is restate, answer, cite, explain. So did we restate anything in our first sentence? Yeah, yes, we restated the theme. What about answering anything? Did we answer any part of the prompt? So did we answer anything yet? No?
Checkers game one.
So we haven't answered anything, but we're down here at this C, and this will help us get to our answer, because we'll probably answer and explain it at the same time. So cite means to bring in a citation. If you're not using the direct words from the passage, you don't have to put it in quotation. If you are, then it has to be in quotation. And don't forget that if you're quoting something very long, you can put the ellipses in and put the beginning and the ending of the quote in rather than write the whole thing out. now is after you have your theme, in that second paragraph, you're gonna put your evidence, and then you're gonna explain it. So give me some examples of evidence for this one. What are some examples we would have, examples of evidence we would have for the beginning? Look at your graphic organizer. What are some examples here? Callie?
I did the people, but I had, my family needed the money, so I started working in the kitchen as a coffee shop.
So there's one of Callie's pieces of evidence for Ruby. What would be something for the beginning, Malia? Can you have that down for the beginning, because that was at the end.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Macy?
Mine doesn't really deal with like that theme, but I have like, but they need more girls to help with the dishes.
Yeah, but they needed more girls to help with the dishes. It doesn't really match this theme, so you probably wouldn't use it, but I'm guessing that your theme's different.
Yeah.
So what's your theme?
My theme is that like your appearance or like who you are doesn't change like what you can do. Like if you're a girl, you can still do something that a guy's doing. If you're like black, you can still do something that a white person's
Okay.
doing.
So where her evidence didn't work for this theme, it works for her theme. So make sure that your evidence and your theme match. Otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time explaining it. Austin.
The one that Callie said, like, I came to work for Mr. and Mrs. Cochran to make a little money, would that be like a Ruby quote, or should you use that for the beginning of the story?
You could use it for the beginning, because that's where it is in the story, is it is in the beginning. So that's one of the events, but what's your theme?
The thing is, anyone can do anything you can look them up.
Yeah, so that would work for you, as well. Like, it wouldn't make much sense for this one. Which is leading me to think I'm not finding enough evidence for this, so it's gonna change. So I guess with my theme, I didn't change it on the introduction, but because of the evidence that you were giving me, I was like, okay, never give up the opportunity to learn something new. From what I was hearing from you, from what I had written down as we filled in the graphic organizer, I wasn't seeing the evidence that I needed to support that theme. So I switched it to nothing is impossible if you work hard enough. Because that is a possible theme also from the reading, because it is a lot about hard work. And how the girls had to wash the dishes for many hours each night, and how Mrs. Cochran said, well, if a man's not gonna make a dishwasher, then I am. And it probably wasn't, she had the idea, and 2 days later, she had a dishwasher that worked. It was probably days and months and weeks of work and testing and trying to figure things out before it actually worked well enough to get her to where she is. Alright, so now we have, so this would be what mine would look like. Yours would probably look a little bit different, especially if you're doing the characters instead of working with beginning, middle, end. So in the beginning of the story, Ruby and Miss Cochran start to develop the theme, nothing is impossible if you work hard enough. If someone doesn't invent the dishwashing machine, I will, shows that Mrs. Cochran is determined. This proves the theme because Mrs. Cochran knows this will be no easy task, but she plans to follow through to the end. She's gonna see that dishwasher built no matter how long it takes. And I'm not gonna fall against the wall again. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, okay.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I started to do it.
Alright, who needs more time here? Okay, you follow you? move on to the second quote, or the second paragraph, or the third paragraph.
You know what I mean, like it's something, just leave that and go back and read it.
If you have more quotes and more of an explanation for your first paragraph, that's great. What I'm worried is that you have the beginning, that you have something that looks like this down. If you want to continue, please work on that tomorrow, because we need to, move on to the next part of the lesson. But I will answer your question. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Does she know where you want to look for a
For now, for the first body paragraph, I wanna be sure that you have one piece of evidence in there. Typically, it's better if you have more. I know, hang your head, we all hate writing, but it is better if you have more. The difference between a 3 and a 4 is gonna be in that evidence that you include in those explanations and them seeing if you're really digging deep. If you're just scratching the surface, you're not really gonna get that 3 and 4. You're not gonna get points taken off for writing too much if it makes sense. You're gonna get points taken off for babbling and going off on tangents that don't really go back to any point. But Austin was asking, do you need more than one quote? Am I looking for any more than one quote? No, not right now. In your final paper, you may choose to have more than one quote in your body paragraph, but I'm telling you now that tomorrow, you're going to be working on your second body paragraph. So whether you're doing beginning, middle, and end, or Ruby and Mrs. Cochran, you'll be working on one of the things that you didn't do today. Obviously, for the people that are doing plot, it would be the middle. And then whichever of the 2 characters you didn't do today, you would be working on tomorrow. And you'll write that, and then on Thursday, we'll talk about those and see where we're at before we work on finishing up the evidence or going back through the evidence and seeing, so we want this to be the second or the third paragraph. And then on Friday, we'll be working on the conclusion.
So like, should we do it like how we did our last essay? So like together, should we put like 2 sets of evidence in the next paragraph, or do you only need 1?
I go for 2.
Yeah, go for 2.
Always go for 2.
Yeah.
Because what you're trying to do, like if I make a claim, Gina's nice, and I only give you 1 example, maybe she was just nice that one time, right? But then if I provide 2 examples, that's starting to prove it more.
And she's nice too.
Yeah, maybe she's nice 2 times. I mean, ultimately, you know, you could give 3 examples or whatever, but 2 I think is satisfactory. And if they're good ones, it's really satisfactory.
Yep. So you can go ahead and put your PSSA practice away, because we will be moving on to reviewing the differences and similarities, but mostly we're going to be talking about informational texts. So starting over here, Austin, you're going to count from 1 to 4. And that's going to be your group. There's going to be 4 groups of 4 in here. So Austin?
3, 4, 2, 4.
Alright, so all the ones are going to be over here. Yeah, you're going to be grouped by numbers. So all the ones will be up here, the 2s will be back in that corner, the 3s will be up here, and then the 4s will kind of be in the back corner-ish, not really separated from the 2s.
This is where it's 4 cents.
Like yesterday.
Sean, what number are you?
No, I was putting this there.
Well,
Okay, so make sure you're still
hey,
keeping
so
your
there's
distance,
secret
guys.
message. It's a secret.
Make sure your mask is up.
Yeah, masks up.
Except for.
Do this one. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right now that all of these books, they're mine or me and my brother's. This one's owned by both of us. We haven't touched them in months. If you want, there is a spray back here. Please spray it onto a paper towel and then wipe the book off. Just because I don't want it to like do anything to the ink. Because I've had that happen a couple of times. So you can have this one. These are all informational books. You're going to need your Chromebooks. Sorry about that. Do not write any of these at home. I'm not kidding. Well, there might be a few.
One that doesn't work.
Fortunately, I was trying to find informational texts at my house, and these are the only two that are left. This one?
Oh, I didn't know we were picking.
Yeah, just.
You got a power break.
There you go.
That's a lot of brain power.
Average down by 25%.
So awesome.
Is it every Disney character like it existed?
Well,
Right,
since
this-
whenever that book came out.
If you go under your classwork and you bring up Tuesday, April 13th, if it chooses to load, it's not right now. You'll see this Google document, and it says informational text scavenger hunt. If you see where it says fictional on this side, just go ahead and leave that blank. What I was going to do was I was going to have you compare them to a fictional book, but we can just talk about that because fictional books are pretty much the same in their structure. They have a few differences here and there, but I'm mostly focused on the organization and all of these features of the informational books. So I'm gonna give you guys 10 minutes and then I'm gonna check and see where you guys are at on your scavenger hunt. And then depending upon where you're at, I'll give you more time. And after probably about 15 or so minutes, we'll come back together and we'll discuss what you guys found within the books.
Wait, so are the answers informational or fictional, or do we play like
You're only answering the question for the informational. Just don't worry about the fictional.
Alright. So how do we see
It's organized by first name and movie, and then a few of the characters in the movie and explaining what they do. Miss Stewart. Okay, so we have the Disney one. So we said it's organized by first splitting them up into sections per each movie, then explaining about the characters, relating a few of the characters.
Yeah.
section?
No,
it's informational.
this is an informational book about fictional characters, so it's a little bit a mess.
It's weird.
Yeah, it would be under
There's a lot of
information.
books like that.
Is there any pictures of
Question
this?
two, yes.
So I was gonna say,
How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word?
Gives you the problem.
First, by
No, those are actually experiments that you can put together
They use
yourself.
only do
well, yes,
A lot of them I
separating
don't
and
think that you could
making it
speed into writing, I know a couple of them involve losing your cell phone.
Alright, you find the meaning of an
a few
unfamiliar
characters,
word.
because obviously it's not.
The problem solution is like
And
the
then,
context organized, right?
like, then
So like
a picture of an animal and some including what would be. I think a picture of an animal. Picture of an animal and some.
How do you find an important piece of information? Table of contents or backup.
What would be index?
I don't know.
Is there a table of contents? Yes. Are there any
Some
contents
just
for
right.
it? Oh yeah, there's
So, well,
a.
that's like,
each of the characters.
How long?
Are there any contents?
Saddest part in the movie when the guy gets swiped away.
I
Tears running down my eyes.
I watched the movie and I left.
I remember.
Okay, subtitles. How's the text divided?
The text is divided by.
It's just the gamer's guide.
Oh, it's an alphabetical order, right?
What?
Sorry.
You know, for the behind the guy.
Okay.
101 dollars.
Yep.
So it's numbers and then
Yes.
it's
Is there a?
So
back
it's
cover?
divided in
No.
alphabetical. It's
What is the
divided.
purpose
It's
of,
divided by movies in alphabetical order.
To help you
I think also.
play the game. Sounds good.
What would we consider?
Yeah, and then obviously the next one.
Yeah, almost.
Oh wait, I didn't do how's the text divided? By color.
Let me go to the glossary. Wait, is there a glossary in this book?
Color.
There is.
By colors.
That's, by
No, this is an index. There's no glossary.
good, yeah, good.
No, that's
Nope.
just a content. Okay.
You can.
So you would have to look it up online.
It's going to be about all the different World of Animals.
Alright.
But there's a glossary. We just said that.
Index, yeah.
What did you say?
Now we're-
You could use table archives or maps.
What is synopsis?
What is it? Okay, a synopsis, a synopsis is,
Oh, okay, yeah, it's on the back.
yeah, it's on the back of
Is
that.
I said you can use
Yeah.
index to find what number, what page.
It's
number
like a
of
preview.
information.
Okay.
That was dumb.
Yeah,
Alright.
What are footnotes?
How is the text organized? Are these by channel?
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
You keep that beside you.
Oh, it's by.
Is
I
there,
wanna make sure I know which group I put.
No.
How is the text organized?
Oh, it's not like a little.
It's by date.
Yeah.
That.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is music.
Yeah.
This is based on.
Yeah, this is.
Wait, give me a second. I'm like one behind, so I got more.
Is there any picture?
Not really.
How do you find the meaning of it?
To inform us about the characters and people.
Okay, so this goes to fiction. So go ahead and answer the questions for that one.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word?
That it?
The last one.
How the text divided is divided into chapters.
How do you find a part
On,
piece of
we said
information?
to inform us about the different
I think
characters
it's
in
candy.
Candy.
I didn't see it.
There's like a map.
Is there a table of contents?
Like little black and white.
What's up?
Yeah,
So
flip
you have to
through,
flip.
just fast,
If there's a
try
map
it,
with
and
that,
then on the
it counts
frozen
as
page,
a
I bet you can, without like,
Wait, what? Because like
Mrs.
there's also a picture of the author in the back of my book, so with that.
The author, no, if there was
Our
a map.
footnotes at the things on the side of the,
Exactly.
that frozen
Not
page.
the side, we're
Thought
reading.
at the bottom,
This is
little
the second.
helpers.
Oh,
I'm not a kid.
What are your footnotes?
so you are.
Does the title
What's
give
that?
a hint to the idea? Yes.
For the unfamiliar word, it would have like the number. and
Is
the-
there a
Yeah.
synopsis on the back of the book? Yes.
Synopsis. Synopsis is all.
Synopsis.
Synopsis.
Google it.
We'll call it
How do you
synopsis.
find?
There it is. You said it.
What is the purpose of text? To be entertaining.
Or finance.
Right. No, just to read them.
Start reading the book.
Yep.
And you'll have done in 20 minutes.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, you know.
Isn't that crazy? You used to probably read that. and like, yeah, it's like-
There we
No,
go.
I was mad last week when they said we couldn't do it.
Yeah, we should be
I
able
was
to
so
do
what's going on with her, so
We're gonna come right up.
These are like the only interesting books, like.
How do you find important? How do you find an important?
Are you-
Where did you get this book? Well, I like sports books, I need to do it, the only thing I've been able to.
Are you guys finished with that one?
Or like try.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't like books either.
Did I read that right? You don't read anything like that?
Well, you mean like social media or what?
I read that.
So do, this is fictional, so do this book, the questions, do the questions for this, for a fiction book.
I like music, so.
Yeah.
I like reading sports articles, so that's the only thing I like.
Good for you.
Are you guys done?
Movies are better in every way.
As long as you're-
I'm like 5,
Is there?
6.
I think there is.
Read the
There's-
subtitles.
Okay.
Hello. Maybe a little bit more than that.
Okay, read the credits.
Yes, there's a table.
So when is the
Can we
next?
turn it?
I don't believe so.
Dropping the book on the floor. Can you finish this one, this is fiction?
Usually,
Answer the same questions for this one.
usually no.
I don't think the title gives us hints, but it kind of is.
Maybe just
I
make
think
sure we got it.
you can say, if you know who alcohol is, then yes. But the cover of it does, because it says, what says alcohol does my shoes, shines my shoes, another tells Uncle Chad, you can say yes. Because it has to do with the present object size and, like, it has to do with like.
Yes, it tells you it's about beer.
Yes, see,
Yeah. It's on the file.
It's a little hard.
It's the best thing.
Yeah, I
But you guys know. I don't watch Anything information.
But there's one guy.
I haven't watched a lot of the original Princess,
Yeah.
but I watched the
I think one of them has like, game guides for video games. One of them has, like, an encyclopedia, granted, it contains like a media, but. Another one. What's fiction?
Fiction. Yeah.
Alright, how much to organize?
I didn't know it was actually happening, so loud.
it's organized chapter form, right?
Is there?
Oh, what's
We're working.
It does.
How's the text organized? Chapter
What's the last thing you read now?
I don't remember.
Oh, you mean you don't remember? I thought the book was digital or not. Yeah, what's the last thing you read digitally?
I don't
You don't remember?
a hard jack.
We used to read them like that.
No.
Chinese is there.
And it's that Agatha Christie book.
Yeah,
Lots of
yeah.
them watch
Yeah.
it every
It's hard to
Oh.
understand, so like I try to from it.
Oh, this is washrooms? Washrooms at the back, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, who needs more time on either book?
Once I
So you two, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have to kind of, adapt to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky.
Where are we?
I picked
Oh.
up Dorothy Sayers. So she has like a character on her. And it's the same character.
Where, pictures, we missed pictures, but obviously there's pictures.
Chronological.
So how do you find important pieces?
In the event.
Is that the same thing as for information? You'd have to look
So
for
it
something.
would be almost like
Wait, it wasn't
if you were to keep a diary,
My cousins.
and the events would happen
They have.
as the day first, right? It doesn't really skip or go back.
I have one.
Well, if you need it, they don't have.
Oh, wait,
Or chronological would mean that it has to follow a certain.
there's not an index, right? So you would just have to. Wait, I missed one. No, important piece of information.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then the people.
Get the title from
Or
her.
like,
I have
You
one on here.
It does the title give any hint of the idea?
You don't know, we didn't read the book.
I'm guessing.
I'm just gonna write probably.
Oh.
Probably I didn't read the book.
And it was Agatha Christie.
Yeah, it was.
if you don't want to.
It was something murder in the three books.
Did you just say Jets?
Yeah.
Okay,
There was purpose of this text
we're
too.
gonna start to go over the answers here. So, if you're still working, that's fine. Just leave whatever questions that you don't have answered blank and we'll help you with them when we get to them. So, the book that I had that was informational was this one. Yes, and for those of you that don't know, before I went to IUP, I went to ICTC for 9 months for cosmetology. I actually have my cosmetology license. So I am a licensed beautician in the state of Pennsylvania. But due to several health problems, being in a salon was not the right call for me, and I would only lasted 10 years, and at that point in time I was 19, so until I was 29, I would have been in a salon full time. However, I still have books like these in my house. I still love books like these. What they do is that they tell you how to do various hairstyles. So the text is organized by being broken apart by hairstyle, and then they're numbered, so you can find them by their number as well. How is the text divided? Well, how is the text organized? It's organized based on hairstyle, and there's a set of instructions that you follow in the order in which they're given. The text is divided by hairstyle. There is a small introduction in the front, and there is a table of contents, so it tells you the name of the hairstyle and what page you would find it on. Yes, there are a ton of pictures included. You can see that there are a lot of pictures in this book. There is a table of contents. There are not footnotes. Everything is within the directions. Yeah, because this one, even the last step, it says to mist withholding spray, which is hairspray. Fabulous teen hairstyles. Does it give me any idea about the main, any hints to the main idea? Well, obviously I know this is all about hairstyles for most likely for teenagers. Yes, there is a synopsis on the back cover right here. You know, long wavy long romantic, sleek around the face and playful braids on top. There's a bit of a synopsis there. What is the purpose? The purpose is to teach the reader how to do these hairstyles if they follow the directions. Then my fictional book, I pulled this one. This is actually a series of novellas that are in one book. There's, I wanna say 4 short stories here. I read them all. How is the text organized? The stories and by themselves are all chronological. They all have a beginning, middle, end. And obviously they also are ordered in this book in chronological sequence. So the first one's gonna be first, the second one would be second, and it's how they went in the series. There are 5 books in the series. One of them comes before the first book, actually. I know that's odd, but it's true. Well, actually 2 of them, one's like labeled as 0.25 and one's labeled as 0.5 for the novellas, and then 1. And then it's 2, 3, 3.5 is the one novella, and then you have so the other 2 actually happen between 2 and 3, so they would be in the middle there. But that's how it's divided, is by book. There are pictures. First of all, I knew that there was this is the map. It goes with the stories, the one which takes place in a futuristic nation called Ilia, which is, as you can see here, Canada, North America, and Central America are all now one nation. And they're split into 35 provinces. So this is the map. And then included in the novellas, which I just remembered, maybe there are pictures. There were in the digital version that I had. There are pictures. How do you find an important piece of information? You have to flip through pages, or you have to mark it with some sort of note. There's no glossary or index in this. Is there a table of contents? Yes, there is a table of contents. There are not any footnotes. Probably ever after. Do you think that this tells you anything? It really doesn't give you any hints of some of the main ideas, because you have 4 separate stories in here. If you were to read this, you would probably have a little bit more of an idea of what's going on within the novellas, or at least who they're about. America's story wasn't the only one with a happily ever after. Return to the world of the New York Times best-selling selection series with this enchanting collection. It contains the Prince, the Guard, the Queen, the Favorite, plus exclusive scenes, lush illustrations, and a boat of the epilogue to the one and more. So no, there's not much of a synopsis back here. It just tells me what's in it. What is the purpose of the text? It's to give the reader, this is to entertain the reader and to give them more stories from a series that they love. So those were the 2 books that I had. So group 1, what was your informational book? Where's group 1? Here.
The official MacGyver Survival Manual.
Okay, so this was their book. How is it organized?
Description.
It's organized by description, yeah. So, this book actually has different little things that you can make, like little science projects in it. Not that there's some of them that I wouldn't try. And it describes how it works and then how to make it. How is the text divided? Come on. Don't be afraid. Yeah, it's chapter things by specific inventions. I don't think anybody watches MacGyver. This is an actual TV show that is still on TV until the end of the month. Unfortunately, I don't know its fate beyond that. It's one of my favorite shows. So if you looked at number 044 or 44 above stereo, this little gray box under here that says cell phone plus speaker, that's actually the name of one of the episodes. It's the title of one of the episodes. They have crazy names like that. So that's how it's divided. Are there any pictures? Obviously. What was your answer? Yes, there are many pictures. How would you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word? There are footnotes down on some of the pages that would help you. I glanced through it that there are some footnotes that would help you with unfamiliar words. Is there a table of contents?
Yes.
There is. The other thing that you could use that I didn't ask about is this one actually has a glossary. Well, no, it has an index of materials. So you could come back here to look for something, and it actually gives you a picture. Are there any footnotes? Does the title give any hints to the main idea? The official MacGyver survival manual. Yeah, these are little experiments that you can pull off that are actually feasible in the realm of science as we know it. I wouldn't suggest there are ones that you would to try in here, but it also explains how these are done. So it does tell you. Is there a synopsis on the back? Yeah, there is. It's got a paperclip. Sometimes that's all you need. That is common for MacGyver. What is the purpose of the text? To inform the reader how to survive and make cool inventions. I agree with that. What about your second book? Okay. How is it organized?
Cause and effect.
I can see it being both. There are different events that happen, and this event causes this. And I'm not going to give away any of the events because I know it's like majorly the big event that happens in the beginning causes him to be stranded in the woods. How is it divided? Yeah, it's in chapters. Are there any pictures? No. How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word? Yes. Search for it on Google, maybe in the book somewhere, maybe go to a dictionary, though I don't think anyone here would ever do that. I don't anymore. How do you find an important piece of information?
Please excuse the baseball and softball teams today at this time. That says softball and baseball. Thank you.
How would you find important information? By using the text, you would probably have to mark it somehow. Is there a table of contents? Are there any footnotes? Does the title give any hints to the main idea? No, not really. Is there a synopsis on the back? What is the overall purpose of the text? This is to entertain the reader with an engaging story. Okay, so group 2, what was your informational book?
We had Who's Who.
Yeah. Okay, so they had Who's Who. Is there more to the title than just that? Or am I inventing it?
It just says an A to Z list, an A to Z of Disney characters.
Okay. So they had Who's Who. How is it organized?
It separates it like into sections by movie. Yeah.
Yeah, by movie and then by characters, right? How are the movies organized?
Alphabetical.
Yep. How is it divided?
It's divided by movies in alphabetical order. That's it.
Are there pictures included? Yeah, there are. How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word? Look it up. How do you find an important piece of information?
You could either go to the table of contents or index.
There's a table of contents or index in that book. So yes, there is a table of contents. Are there any footnotes? No, there aren't. There are small boxes with trivia in it, but those aren't really footnotes. Does the table give any hints to the main idea? Is there a synopsis on the back cover?
Yes.
What is the purpose of the text?
To inform about the characters and
Yeah. If you ask my brother, the purpose was to give the reader a bunch of useless information on Disney characters. But that's just because if he argues with me about something Disney, I'll win. Unless it's Marvel, but. What about your fictional text? What was it?
Every soul was star.
How is it organized?
Chapter form.
It's chapter, so it's also divided by chapters. Are there any pictures? No? How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word? Looking it up. Is there a table of contents? No, not in that one. Are there any footnotes? Nope. Does the title give any hints to the main idea?
Probably.
yeah, probably.
Probably. Is there a synopsis on the back cover? What is the purpose of the text?
To entertain us.
It's to entertain the reader. Group 3, what was your informational text?
We had the world of animals, or the all foreign world of animals.
You had the world of animals. How is the text organized?
It's organized by unique quality groups for all sorts of animals.
So it's organized by unique quality groups. How is the text divided?
Each species has unique talent.
By species of animal, are there pictures?
Yes, there's a picture of each animal. How to look at it.
How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word?
Glossary.
There is a glossary in that book. How do you find an important piece of information? There is an index in that book. Is there a table of contents? Are there footnotes? No. Does the title give any hints to the main idea?
Yes, find out about all the different animals.
Is there a synopsis on the back cover? What is the purpose of the text?
To inform you about all the different talents of all of these animals.
Yeah. So your fictional text, what was it?
Issues,
How is it organized?
chronologically,
How is it divided?
it's divided into chapters.
Yeah, so that book, and what I think I read, either Al Capone Shines My Shoes, or I accidentally read them out of order, and it was like Al Capone Folds My Shirt. It's written in more of like a diary style, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's very chronological. Are there any pictures in it? There's a map. How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word?
Look it up for use the context of the sentence.
That's what I was really looking for. Most of the time for fictional, you're gonna have to use context clues or go to a dictionary or, in this case, Google and find the definition. Is there a table of contents?
Oh, yeah, there is.
Oh, how do you find an important piece of information?
Just to like think back to the story where it happened.
Yeah. Are there any footnotes? Does the title give any hints to the main idea? What is the purpose of the text?
To entertain you with made up stories about the concept.
Yep. Alright, group 4. What was your informational text? Yeah, go ahead.
Our text is organized. It's organized by like sections, and then the sections are labeled in color.
Yeah, what is it? Yeah, it doesn't actually have a title. Well, actually, it's right here. I'm sorry about that. It's the official Galar Regents Strategy Guide Collector's Edition. It's a Pokemon Sword and Shield Gamer's Guide. So once you get to a certain point, it is organized by color. The walkthrough is organized by how you literally go through the game, walk through the game, the events of the game. Are there any pictures?
Yes.
Yes, many pictures. How do you find the meaning of an unfamiliar word?
In the back of the book.
Yeah, there's a glossary in the back of the book. How do you find an important piece of information?
It's usually in the back of the book, or you look in the table of contents for it.
Yeah, there's a table of contents, and then there's like all these indexes back here for different things. Are there any footnotes?
Yes.
There are things that would be considered footnotes here. Mostly what I would consider footnotes is, it's like, oh look, this is your 12th step in this area. Be sure that you get this leader card. Or go here to get this prize. Does the title give any hints to the main idea?
Yes.
Is there a synopsis on the back cover?
No.
What is the purpose of the text?
To help you play the game.
To help you play the game. This is to help you beat the game. It literally walks you through it. Although it doesn't really beat the game for you, it just tells you how to go through the various areas within the game itself. So overall, what's common in an informational text that's different from a fiction text?
That an information text is going to inform you about something, and a fictional text would probably entertain you about something.
Yeah, so informational are always, or mostly always, going to be to inform the reader. Fictional texts are a lot more of an entertaining book, an entertaining story. What do you find a glossary or an index in a fictional text most of the time? Has anybody ever seen a glossary within a text, a fictional text? Okay, so it is real. I read one series, I want to think that it started with Switch. It was Switch, Torn, and Ascend were the three.
Can I have your attention, please, for the afternoon announcement? We'd like to say congratulations to Jacob Fazer for winning the MVP for the Clarissa Current Event Heritage Team and scoring the highest on the individual test. Congratulations, Jacob. Also, a reminder to students that are studying for the after-school tutoring, you are to report to the cafeteria at this mental time. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Alright, so I've read at least two series, three, because I read A Court of Thorn and Roses. They have a glossary in their books. The Iron Fae, I want to believe by the fourth book, they either have a survival guide or a glossary in theirs. And then the other series is called the Tyrell, Tryelle. It has a glossary in their books, and it's just because of the words that they use in a different manner than what we're used to. Or a lot of it's things made up within that world that the book is trying to create. Do fiction books often include pictures? Yeah, they can. But do fiction books typically follow the same structure? Most of the time you can lay out a fiction book into something like this. You have your background, your beginning, your rising action. You might have these setbacks here, your climax. The falling action and the revolution. Resolution. Not a spin. Informational texts are organized different ways. What could those be? I'm not going to yell at you if you're wrong. Well, informational texts can be organized in different ways. Malia? Chronological order, sequence, Gia?
Fact and opinion.
Fact and opinion. There's like 3 more. Hello, Mrs. Foxton. Yes, I can. Okay. Alright, bye. Callie?
Cause and effect.
Yeah, cause and effect. Sean?
Problem and solution.
Problem and solution, one more, this one's tricky. I could argue that this one was possibly organized that way, Callie. Close, description. Things, informational text can be organized based on description, and it can lay that out. And most of the time you're fictional, you'll be able to pull out these events. However, they are not always in chronological order. I do want to make that known because sometimes there are flashbacks or there are flash forwards in fictional text. Those are very common things used. But informational text you will see on the PSSAs, and it's something that you got that is a struggle because they're not fun to read unless it's something you want to work with, right? Like, I actually, out of these books, I can argue that I've never read this one. Not cover to cover. So I want you guys to keep those elements in mind for the SSA, and then what are you doing tomorrow? One essay paragraph. Alright, you can go.
Yes. You call me. What? As soon as you get home. Alright. So yeah, that. Should I? Yes. Oh yeah. Or heal. Yeah, blood. Also,